All right, folks, Duke Machado here with Lexit Strike Force. And tonight we're visiting again in San Antonio. There's a lot happening in San Antonio right now with candidates, Latino conservative candidates running for city council and for mayor. And tonight we're visiting with a very conservative gentleman who's running for city council District 1, Ray Zavala. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. And I hope that you are doing as well.
Well, we are, like I say, there's a lot of interest right now developing on the races there in San Antonio. It seems to me like there's a growing number of disgruntled or upset or angry, even sometimes, Latino residents who might be willing to make some changes this election cycle. Tell me what's going on in your District 1.
Well, yes, sir. Currently, the current representative for District 1 has only represented those of special interest. For example, the homeless, the um, the other groups that have contributed to his campaign. Uh, he has also tried to erase history,
Hmm.
and he has failed to acknowledge and conduct himself as a true representative of the people. He's made some bad decisions, bad deals with the rest of the city council, and frankly, people are tired of it. They're tired of not being listened to. We go down to city council when we have the chance. Due to the COVID, they're streaming it now, but we do go down there and they let us vent, and that's all they do. They do not do what the people are telling them or asking them to do. In other words, all the current city council have a private agenda among themselves,
Hmm.
and for that reason, I chose to run. There is a great need for three things: accountability, transparency, and fiscal responsibility. Right now, the city of San Antonio, the residents, they're all hurting due to the COVID and the lack of jobs. And we keep spending money on frivolous things like moving the cenotaph. That lawsuit cost millions of dollars, and they failed. The city council failed to win. I don't believe in frivolous lawsuits. I don't believe in fixing something that's working. The
Hmm.
people own the city, not the city council.
Hmm.
And
So what's
for that
the
reason,
what's
I chose to run.
So what's the number one issue? I know we were talking earlier before the show that there was a big effort from the city to bring essentially homeless people into your district.
Yes, currently they are in violation of Texas Penal Code Ordinance 3005, and our council member has allowed the homeless to camp out outside of his out of the field office. You know, you can never negotiate with terrorists or protesters or homeless. I'm sorry, they choose to live that way. There are resources that are being spent on them, but they're not taking advantage of them because they don't want to adhere to the rules of society. And our illustrious council member, he feels that the homeless are more important than the residents. There's been a lot of looting. There's been sexual assaults. There's been a lot of drinking among the homeless. It's affected the neighborhood property values. How much more can we take? We need
So I
somebody up
mean,
there. At,
you're not against finding a solution to the homeless problem.
no, I have a solution. I have gone up to Rapid City, South Dakota, and if I'm elected, I intend to use that homeless shelter as a prime example of the way things should run. I'll give you a quick example. Up there, if you want to stay in a nice warm bed in the winter or a nice cool bed in the summer, then you are required to give out or contribute 4 hours of community service per day, whether it be picking up trash, whether it be doing laundry, setting up the dining facility, cooking,
Mm-hmm.
working in the pantry. Why can't we have this here? We
Yeah.
need to have this here. The city is pumping a lot of money into Haven for Hope, and we have invited these people to come here from all over the country.
And
This
now
Haven for
the
Hope,
residents are they've had enough. They're tired of seeing it grow. The homeless population is growing, and they're not contributing anything. My grandpa used to tell me, if you don't work, you don't eat. If you're getting free services, you should contribute back. You should earn that space. I do believe that in hard work. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're not able to get on your feet and you need food and shelter, um, I'm not opposed with having like what North Dakota's doing. You got to earn your keep,
uh,
so to speak.
right? South Dakota has got a fantastic plan. And by the way, when you enter the homeless shelter there, there's a huge sign right outside the door. It says "homeless, not helpless." I was not greeted by an armed guard. I was not searched. I didn't have to go through a metal detector the way you do down here. Totally different. We need, we need to have this implemented here. I have told the city council. I've even given them 3 written ordinances, proposed ordinances to make things better for the residents of San Antonio, and especially District 1, the downtown area.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm. That's
all
a
they
whole
did
that's a whole different
was,
story. That downtown area is okay. We're gonna take a quick break. I want to get into that. I want to get a little bit into you personally, your history, and but we have to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. This is Ray Zavala running for District 1 in San Antonio for City Council, and I'm Duke with the Lexit Strike Force. We'll be right back.
And I want to inform people, educate people, y que la gente sabe que en realidad son parte de esta opinión que podemos hacer cambios en San Antonio y porque tienen los valores que somos más como republicanos que de democráticos. So la cosa es entender y educarnos. I'm sorry, I'm going into Spanish. And that's
okay.
hard if
Yeah.
I deliberate because we have to ensure that people that do not speak English know that they're not going to be left behind. They're not going to be given a little card or a little commercial with a voiceover actress or actor saying, I speak Spanish and I want to be your Hispanic representative. No, you have to know and live it. I grew up on the southern border. I grew up and lived the fact that I could see the Rio Grande River. I could see what we were escaping. And I came here, my family came here legally. So there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm, as a Hispanic, want legal immigration. We have to understand that people just don't understand the nuances regarding the politics and respect your values. And if you consider yourself to be a real Hispanic with the family-oriented values, you tend to be conservative. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so with my message during this campaign is to share those values, share those ideas and solutions, and that actually gives them a reason to go, ah, she sounds like me. That is me. And because it's nonpartisan, that's what I want to take advantage of. Let's don't put red or blue, an R or a D. Let's think of the candidate. And we've lost that. Respect the candidate who wants to respect you and represent you.
Hey folks, Duke Machado here, Lexit Strike Force. We've been visiting with Ray Zavala. He's a city council candidate for San Antonio District 1. Ray, tell us where that area is in San Antonio.
It runs just south of downtown, all the way uh, up to 281, past 410, and then to the left, westward, to Callahan and Vance Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Then all the way down south towards the downtown area again,
Mm-hmm.
at the Fredericksburg Road. It hangs a right and comes down towards Sasamora and back towards downtown,
What
the inner city.
what I mean, I think the way the districts are divided in San Antonio are interesting because it's like they all have a little bit of the downtown and they all have a little bit of the outer part. It seems like, they're you've all got. I was speaking to some of the other candidates and they go from the downtown west or from the downtown south or downtown southwest, and so they've got a little bit of different types of voters. I mean, they're not one type of voter in a district, is there?
No, that is correct. District 1 is bordered by District 5, District 2, District 3, and District 8 and 9.
Hmm.
So we're kind of in the middle and we're surrounded by the
Mhm.
other districts.
So what is
And
what are people saying? I mean, I know what your frustrations are. It's homelessness. What about what other issues just make you get involved like you're doing?
well, for example, we had the scooter problem. The residents were not asked if the 3 scooter companies could come into San Antonio and operate. You should have seen the mess that those 3 scooter companies left behind. There were scooters on every sidewalk, at every corner, and they were being vandalized. Uh, they had NiCad batteries, nickel cadmium batteries, NiCad, and some of them were thrown in the San Antonio River, in the creeks. Uh, the companies that operated these scooters failed to tell the people that there was a safety issue. A lot of people ended up going to the hospital because they were riding the scooters without safety equipment.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is not the proper way to do things. That we've also bailed out the city sponsored company that it's a bike rental company. When they were going under, they asked the city of San Antonio for a bailout and got it.
Mm.
You and I have our bills. Do you think the city's going to bail us out? No.
No. So
All in the name.
in general, you're kind of fed up with the you're kind of fed up with the waste, the possible fraud, the waste, the abuse. All three kind of sending you over the top. Your frustrations are on how they're using the money, and they're not being wise about it.
Correct. Under my leadership, accountability, transparency, and fiscal responsibility will always be at the very top. Those 3 things. I'll be held accountable to the people, to the residents of District 1.
Mm-hmm. Now,
I will always be transparent with them.
Are you a lifelong San Antonio resident, or?
Yes, the only time that I was not here was during my military career.
Mm.
I spent 25 years in the military.
Mm.
I was Army, Navy, and Air Force.
I was talking to my wife about that, and she says, "Gosh, I mean, how long do you have to be in to do that?" And so you said 25 years. My last or my only service was Air Force service, and that was is that where you ended? Was the Air Force?
No, I went back to Army because I used to crew helicopters, and I missed that. I missed the guys, and we were close. When you're part of an air crew, whether you're Army, Navy, or Air Force, you are in a very tight knit group. Yeah. Your family. We do for each other.
Yeah.
But I have been an infantryman. I have been a tanker, and then finally air crew.
Mm-hmm. But then after that, you got out of the military and you continued to work. You said you worked for the federal government as well.
Yes, I was an employee of the Department of Defense, and I've also been an employee of the Department of Justice with the Border Patrol.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of the current president's decision to release illegal immigrants captured or taken at the border?
I am thoroughly disappointed with his decision to do that. You put the lives of those holding the line in jeopardy. It's bad enough that we have an abundance of legalized immigrants here that are taking resources from the American people, from the citizens. Um, when you let the illegals come here, then what you've done is you've opened the floodgates and more will come. How much more can our economy take? The answer is not very much more. Zero tolerance on illegal immigration.
Mm-hmm.
That's my stance. I will not.
So people will say, "Well, you
not,
don't have
never.
any compassion. You don't care about these people. You don't care about these children."
I am a very compassionate person. I live by a code every day of my life: charity, compassion, and patriotism. That's the code that I live by every day, and so does my family.
Mm-hmm.
We are very compassionate. We do a lot of community service that others have not even done or thought about. But I do not brag, and I do not go grandstanding in front of news cameras. Oh, I did this, I did that. No, I do it out of the kindness of my heart. Now, when it comes to illegal immigration, that's where I draw the line. If you want to come to the U.S., come here legally. Now, I realize to get here legally, there's a long waiting list, but there are procedures. I was totally for the wall because it helped those that are holding the line.
Mm-hmm.
Any tool that helps, I'm all for it. But I am compassionate. Now, once you get here and you illegally, that is, and you run into trouble, well, yes, we can help you. We will help you.
Mm-hmm.
But not the way it's been done. Human trafficking, that's the number one reason why we have illegal immigration. They're not coming here to take our jobs. They're coming here to conduct illegal activities.
Mm.
It used to be back in the day, when you apprehended an illegal, you processed them in, and 3 hours later, they were on a bus back to the border and shipped across. Not anymore. Now they're given time to go out and do whatever they want to do, and then maybe show up for court.
Mm.
That's
Which
like
they don't.
They have no idea where the people are at. No accountability.
Yeah. So seems like San Antonio has been liberalized for quite a while. It seems like the conservative voices, the Latino conservative voices, have not been very successful in getting policies put in place that help the city versus what the liberal policies do. I know that there's a new a race for mayor as well. Denise Gutierrez Homer, she's running and challenging the current mayor. What do you think of her campaign? What do you think of her?
I personally know Denise Homer or Gutierrez Homer, and I can tell you this: she's not only a fine, outstanding citizen and a patriot, she's also very dedicated to helping others. She is like me. She believes in accountability, transparency, and fiscal responsibility. We do not waste the resources. I support Denise Gutierrez Homer.
That's awesome. We do too, and I think more and more people will be supporting her. In your hold on a sec, choking out. As you were talking, I was thinking of some things to get into. Are there any particular topics that you want to cover?
Right now, yes, sir, there is. Right now, we have San Antonio in the education business with pre-K for SA. Never should a city governed by the city council ever approve funding for a private educational system when we have the public schools and we have private schools. Our very liberal then mayor and later on HUD secretary was all for pre-K for SA.
You're talking about Castro. You're talking about the Castro, right?
Yes, sir. I'm talking about the Castro regime. That's what it was. And his wife even got hired as a school teacher at pre-K for SA. That to me is unacceptable. If, first and foremost, pre-K for SA should have never been put on the ballot. I ran a race holding a sign for 2.5 miles right before the Fiesta Flambeau stating vote no on pre-K for SA. I stood on the corners telling people to vote no. But you have these 4 entities here in San Antonio, and they're high supporters of the liberal government. You have USAA, you have Valero, you have HEB, and you have HB Zachary. Those people donated, those groups or companies, organizations, they donated so much money that we, the regular people, didn't stand a chance at the voting booth. They lied, they mixed the words, and they got everything approved. Those 4 entities are in the same group that supports the liberals.
I lost your video there.
Funny thing about pre-K for SA, we should never have had that. We already have the schooling. As a matter of fact, I even went down to city council and I told Mr. Castro, I said, Mr. Castro, have you ever babysat a 4-year-old? I said, have you ever seen how much attention span he's got? And he said, no. I said, well, Mr. Castro, my wife and I have been coaching kids from the age of 4 all the way to 13. And let me tell you, I had a team of 4-year-olds playing basketball. Their attention span was about 15 seconds. So he had no idea. And then I also said this, well, if the kids are going to go to school for free, then they should make the parents attend classes as well. We don't give out free babysitting. And to this date, there has not been any clear-cut evidence that pre-K for SA is a success. It's nothing more than a glamorized babysitting service. I had suggested to Castro that the parents take parenting classes, cooking classes, and that they also look for jobs. He got up from his chair at the city council, slammed it forward, and walked out. I guess I must have really hurt his feelings.
Sounds like it. Yeah. It's the bleeding heart liberal in all these people that I don't know how they have to know that they're not right, but they just can't get out of the trap that they're in going along with liberalism. I know that San Antonio, if it's gonna thrive, it has to have more conservative policies. That's what's going to give you the transparency. It's going to make sure the corruption leaves and gets pushed out. It takes good people. It takes people willing to stand up and give those uh, testimonials and to speak your mind. Not everyone's willing to do that. I'm glad you are.
So if I can say this real quick, our present mayor denied the Republican Party from holding the national convention here.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're
But
right.
but he had the Democratic convention here. Why? Because he's liberal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with Ron Nuremberg. I never agreed when he was on council. He didn't do for the people, he did for himself. He was picked out and groomed by the former judge that became a mayor. And it got a $25 million critter bridge named after him. So that the deers and the possums and whatever could cross over the freeway.
Oh wow!
Those funds could have been used somewhere else for the senior citizens, the youth in their education, given full scholarships. Currently, the city of San Antonio is only handing out a $300 scholarship per person. What can you do with $300? Nothing. My plan is this: to sponsor a student, a C and D student, or various C and D students with a full ride, a full 4-year degree, and upon completion, they come back and they perform 2 years of community service. Also, my plan is this: if they accept that scholarship, they sign a contract. If they fail to keep up with their grades or drop out, then they owe the city the money that was invested in them. I think it's only fair. You don't get anything for nothing.
Mm-hmm. You're willing to give them an opportunity. You're willing to give them a shot, and if they do it right, then it's an investment that will change lives and families forever. If they choose to do wrong, then they have to pay for the service, and the city doesn't lose doesn't lose that revenue. It's interesting. I personally, you know, to have higher education paid for, I don't know, that concept. It doesn't sit well with me for some reason, but I see that a lot of people look at it as an investment, but then I see just colleges that pass people that have no business being in school. My experience is the degree isn't what it used to be. Maybe I don't know.
That is correct. I agree with you, but we have to give them the opportunity. For example, the A and B students, most of them already have their scholarships to colleges. But what about the C and D students, those that want to go, can't afford it?
I look at that. I look at that and I say, a C and D if you're a C and D student, maybe you're not going to do well in college. You're going to do poorly in college, in most cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're probably correct, but I also believe in the trade schools.
Mm-hmm.
People can go to a junior college and obtain a certification in culinary arts, aircraft maintenance, which will lead to a better job in life. Mm-hmm. The problem is not getting there; it's funding. Currently, the city of San Antonio will pay for your junior college, your 2-year college,
wow,
to get you going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, but they're not being held accountable. That's the problem right there.
Mm.
If they drop out, well, they just drop out, and the city loses the money.
Mm-hmm.
But
wow, that's awesome. I didn't know that about San Antonio. That anyone who graduates from a San Antonio high school gets 2 years worth of
Yes,
tuition
sir.
paid for by the city?
Yes, sir.
Wow, I didn't know that. Hmm.
Well, here's another thing you didn't know. Have you ever heard of Project Quest?
No.
Project Quest is a very liberal uh, organization that sends people that are that they are at risk for failing. They send them to the school, to like nursing school and to college. They provide them with money for transportation. They provide them with a greater opportunity to get housing. And if they have a kid, well, they provide babysitting services.
Hmm. Wow.
They do not, upon graduation, they owe the city or Project Quest nothing,
Hmm.
and that's not right. By the way, that group, Project Quest, sends out to all the candidates a questionnaire where they demand your answers, and then they try to embarrass you without giving you a chance or the opportunity to explain your answers. Either you vote yes or you vote no. You're either for them or against them.
Hmm.
I say this: Project Quest has been on the city council welfare rolls for way too long. We need to cut them loose.
Hmm.
They should have become just like Haven for Hope. It's been in existence for 21 years, and they should have only been helped for 10 years. But here they are, 21 years later, and we're still funding them. No, that's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. It seems
But
like
that's just how I.
common sense, but you got to have enough city council members to make the changes. That's why I'm excited to speak to some other candidates running in for city council in San Antonio who are like minded. The conservative Latino candidate is running for to make a change in San Antonio this year. So those elections are May 1st, right?
Yes, May 1st,
Okay. Well,
from
I'll
7
give
to.
you a go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the polls are open from 7 to 7 on May the
Mm.
1st.
All right. Well, I will give you a final opportunity to reach or to send a message to the voters. And if you want to say something in Spanish, um, I'd be fine with that as well.
Well, this is America, and I got to tell you that I am trilingual, but
Mm.
we're in America, and I speak English,
Mm-hmm.
and so I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I am versed in Spanish and German,
Mm-hmm.
but all I wanted to say is this: that I am the right person for the job. I hold no allegiance other than to the people of District 1 and the city of San Antonio when it comes to making sure that the money is being spent effectively and is accountable. No more are we going to have, no longer rather, are we going to have the same groups receiving the city council welfare like Haven for Hope and Project Quest. They need to get on their own. It's like having a child. At 18, it's time to move on and start your own life, independent of the parents' support.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a dog lover. I am a member of the NRA, the VFW, the American Legion, and I'm also Catholic, a practicing Catholic,
Mm.
not just a Catholic. And I believe in the American way of life. You get what you work for,
Mm-hmm.
not not being dependent on the government, whether it be local, state, or federal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody needs a helping hand now and then, but sooner or later, you got to get off that welfare roll.
Yeah, the government wants you from cradle to grave because they want you to be dependent on them and in those services. Um, but we do need to bring bring back, and even in our Latino community, for the most part, we have a brand, and that is that we are hard workers. But that's, I mean, I see more and more Latinos who are lazy, who don't want to work, who don't want, because they're falling for the same trap that the African American community fell for. It's the dependency on the money that the government doles out, and that Project Quest you talk about, that wraps them up pretty good. That commits them to that organization for sure.
Well, yes, and here's another thing too. For example, a lot of our Latinos are have grown up being Democrats, but it takes a special person to see the light and cross over.
Hmm.
I always vote for the person I think is going to do the best job, not one because of party. But I am a Republican. I stand tough on my principles. I will not buckle. I will not bow down to liberalism. And for example, here in San Antonio, they're trying to instill a gun buyback program. Why? Our Second Amendment guarantees us the right to own arms, but yet the liberal government that we have right now in City Council, they want to do away with the legal ownership of arms, and they want to defund the police. Why? So that the criminals can take over? Not in my neighborhood. I'm sorry. That will not happen. Well, I will fight for the people.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like they need someone to do that. For sure. It's getting out of control in San Antonio. Probably been that way for a while. Glad to meet you and to know you are out there working that district. We're going to have some more guests in the next few days, all related to the San Antonio race. Folks, it's getting real out there. This movement is growing. The synergy is growing with what's happening in San Antonio. Ray, thank you so much for your time and for our talk earlier today. You've got a lot of insight, and your conservatism shines through. You're a principled man, and we're happy to be working with you. And I see good things coming. So thank you so much for joining.
If I may say one more thing, real quick. I don't make promises. I make guarantees, because a promise can be broken, but a guarantee is your word. I learned that value from my parents. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, Ray, you take care. Thank you. And for all you tuned in, please share this video, and thank you for tuning in. Duke Machado, Lexit Strike Force, we're out of here.